I'm Ellie, and we're going to do some yoga. For today's class, just have a couple of blocks or something to substitute for those, and a blanket, and that should be pretty good. We're going to start standing up and feeling into our feet a little bit. So lifting the toes and spreading them out, then curling them back down, and then you can shift forward and backwards and side to side to find balance and pressure down through the feet. And then we'll flex the quads to engage through the legs. And then we'll just lift up the front of the pelvis slightly. So from here to here, so that we're engaging through that low belly. And then lift up the arms, clasp the palms together, and turn the palms towards the ceiling. And then you get to move around how you'd like. So for me, I like to go over to one side, maybe turn the heart up and down, stretching out through the shoulder, and then rounding forward to come to the other side. If you're taking a different movement because it felt right when you lifted your arms up, that's okay. We'll eventually meet with the palms, pressing the ceiling away. Really reaching up so the shoulders can come up towards the ears. You're flexing through the triceps to try to straighten the arms. And you can look up with your gaze if that's more comfortable on the neck. And then we're going to try to reach the arms back slightly and see if while we reach back, we could continue to press down through the feet, flex the quads, and lift the front of the pelvis. Good. And then dropping the arms, turning the palms up, bending the elbows, try to reach the thumbs back behind you. Shoulder blades pull together on the back body. And then press out with the palms again. Drop everything except the pointer fingers and just reach here. Broad through collarbones, shoulders are down. Good. Lifting the arms up once again. Separating the hands this time, not clasping them together. And then we'll just fold over. Pedaling through the knees. Feeling comfortable in the low back here. Coming up halfway to face the floor and support yourself on your shins or your thighs. So gazing down, drop the shoulders down the back body, pull the low belly in, and then we're going to try to hold the shoulders right where they are and just move the hips as a wag from side to side, so that if you were looking down from above, you'd be making a J with the spine and then a backwards J. So you can bend a knee to achieve this as you wiggle slightly back and forth. Good. And then bend the knees a lot. Let the belly and chest hang down onto the thighs. Let the head hang off the end of the knees. You might shake the head yes and no. Open and close the jaw. And hook the thumbs behind the ears, just giving a little traction to the back of the spine, being relaxed here. Take a couple of deep breaths into the back spine. Good. Plant your hands down. Step the right leg way back long into a nice long lunge. Now you'll grab for your blocks or whatever you're using. And I like them at the highest setting for me in this posture. You can adjust as you play around with it. So pressing down into the blocks underneath my shoulders, I'm just going to pull my belly in and round the spine. It's a pretty slight movement. And then I'm going to flatten the spine back out, pulling the heart forward. So from this lunge, I'm just going to round the spine and then flatten out a few times. Good. And then I'll come down onto the back knee. Probably you'll press the tops of the toes down on the floor. And I'm going to send my hips back, finding a runner's lunge. You can either let the toes come up towards your shin on that left foot, or you could point the toes actively and get a stretch through the top of your foot. And then I'll move back into my Anjaliasana pose, letting the pelvis move towards the floor, and then shift the hips back. You can move your hands or your hands with the blocks while your hips shift. Once more. Good. Setting the blocks aside, I'm gonna oogie boogie my foot down, and I realize it's hard to see the mat. I'll adjust that for you. I'm gonna oogie boogie my foot down to about hip height so that I can come with toes pointing off the edge of the mat, and I can be on the outside edge of that right leg. I'll come down on the right elbow and then press open on this knee gently. So it depends on your body if this is a very easy spot for you to be or not. If it's a lot, then let yourself have that knee come towards the heart a little bit more. If it's not enough, walk the foot up towards your heart as you open, and you can come onto the outside edge of that foot. Just a couple moments here. We'll turn to face the floor, palms underneath the shoulders, stepping back, finding a plank. And from our plank, we'll do a little bit of core work. So lifting up the right leg, we're gonna round knee towards nose, hovering up towards our shoulders, and then reach back with that leg. Bring that knee towards the right elbow, right tricep, and then reach back. And then cross midline, bring the knee towards the left elbow, left tricep, and then reach back. Set the foot down, left side, lifting up the left leg, round knee towards nose, reach back, and then towards the left elbow, reach back, and then towards the right elbow, reach back. Good, come down onto the knees. Bring the hands in so that they're underneath your shoulders, and take a moment to find a couple of cats and cows. Arching the back and alternatively rounding the spine. You can add any extra movements while you're doing your cats and cows, maybe some side to side wiggles, maybe some barrel rolls. Whatever feels good here. And then we'll walk our hands out, staying hips over the knees. Coming into a puppy pose, you can bring your forehead down to the mat, pressing actively into the palms the whole time. Maybe if that's easy, you bring your chest and chin down. Finding a nice long posture, opening through the underarms, side ribs. And then walk both hands over to one side of the mat. After a couple of breaths, go the other way. Good. Coming back to center, we'll come all the way down onto the belly. Let the hands reach along your side body. Press down into the toenails, press down into the pelvis. Chin is tucked, and then we're going to inhale the heart up as we reach the hands towards the feet. And then look over one side, reach a little more with that hand. And look over the other, reach a little more with that. Moving between those spaces at your own pace. Doing the same number on each side. Before you plant the hands underneath the shoulders, press the hips over the knees once again. And then bring that right armpit towards the left knee, letting that right shoulder come down on the mat, finding a big twist. You can stay right here with the left hand on the floor, or you could reach it up to your low back, or maybe overhead would feel good. Big twist, taking a few breaths. Switching sides. unwinding yourself, reaching the arms out, curling the toes under, lifting the hips up and back, finding our down dog. Take a moment, pedaling out through the knees, shifting the hips around, exploring your down dog. And then planting both feet, coming way up high on the toes, and then dropping into the heels. Windshield wiper the heels from side to side. Good. And then we're going to lift the left leg up and back behind us, opening the hips, so letting them stack. We'll wiggle around through the ankle, bend and straighten the knee, and then move around through that left hip in any directions that feel good. Returning the left foot to the floor, lifting up the right leg, opening the hip, wiggling the ankle, bending into the knee, and moving around through the right hip. Good. Step that right foot all the way forward between the hands, finding a long lunge on the second side, grabbing for your blocks. And we're going to set up for that same pose we did, rounding the spine and then flattening out. So you hopefully know what height was good for you. Try to do the same height on this side. And then setting the back knee down, toenails come down to the floor, shift the hips back and forward. Play around with whether you want to keep the toes down, so you're stretching the top of that foot, or if you'd like to let the toes reach towards the shin to move through that Achilles and calf a little bit more. Good. Your blocks will set aside, and we'll oogie boogie the right foot down to hip height. Come onto the outside of the left leg all the way. Come down to that left elbow, press gently into the knee to find a light hip opening. We're not forcing anything here. Good. Facing the floor, finding the plank. We'll come down onto the forearms. So elbows are under shoulders and hands are ideally coming straight out from our elbows, which means the hands are separated. So I realize tendency is to want to let the hands come in. That's okay, you can do that. If you want to practice having the hands wide at shoulders width distance, which I encourage, take a block and you can put it between the L of the pointer finger and the thumb around the block, and then set that on the floor. Good. Could use a thick book for that. And then we're going to lift up the right leg, round the knee towards nose, hovering with our forearms, and then extend it back. And then bring that right knee towards the right elbow, and then reach back towards the left elbow, and then reach back. Second side, left leg lifts, round knee towards nose, hover, and then reach back towards the left elbow, and then reach back towards the right elbow, and then reach back. Gratefully coming to the belly, setting aside the block props if you were using it. And we're going to bring our elbows underneath our shoulders, coming onto our forearms here for a Sphinx posture. So let the shoulders come back and down so the neck is long, tucking the chin. Good. Press into the toenails, press into the pelvis. Feel how this is already a pretty good back bend here. Maybe if you'd like a little more intensity, you could lift the elbows slightly. Don't let the shoulders shrug up, keep them down. And then try to pull your heart forward by dragging your palms towards your body. Good. And if you would like a little bit more play with this back bend, bend one knee. And then the other. can do that a couple of times. Keep pulling the heart forward, keep the shoulders down. Keep breathing. Good, and if you'd like even more play, you could be done. But if you'd like more, bend both knees, pull the heart forward. It looks like you're doing nothing, but it feels like you're doing a whole lot. Good, and then come down onto the belly. You might rest with an ear on the mat for just a moment, taking a couple of breaths. Whenever you're ready, you'll press the hips over the knees. You'll walk the hands out for your puppy pose again, pressing into the palms. Walking the hands towards one side of the mat or the other. And I'll start walking them towards you so you can see what we're going to do. Bending the hand on the side that, or bending the elbow on the side that you're walked over towards, and placing it at shoulder height so that you can press into your palm and twist towards the side that you're walking your hands to. You're moving your shoulders towards stacking. You're continuing to drop towards the floor, so it should be a big stretch to this whole underarm and side body. I keep weight into my palm, pressing down on the floor, so that I'm not just sinking to my muscles max and overstretching, but the muscles are engaged. Whenever you're ready, you'll walk to the other side. Hand comes to shoulder height, pressing in to twist slightly, heart towards the side you're walking towards. Good. Hands come back to center. Letting the forehead and chest come down. We're going to cross the right arm underneath the left and find a twist here. Keeping that left hand extended, breathing into our shoulder. Switching sides whenever you'd like. Good. Unwinding, walking the hands in slightly and finding down dog. From down dog, lifting up the left leg behind us, and then listen carefully. We're going to cross midline with that leg, bringing the outside edge of the foot, of the left foot to outside the right hand on the floor. So I'm going to cross midline with my leg. I'm going to hover there for a moment, and then I'll set myself down on the outside of that left leg. And then I'm going to walk towards the opposite side of my mat with my hands. I might stay flat here. This is going to be yogi's choice. Or I can bend my elbow and I can find a slight twist. It should feel pretty good. Either option would be lovely. It's an awkward, weird one. We return to center by walking the hands into shoulders distance, curling the back toes under and doing your best to lift up into your down dog split. Set the left foot down. The right foot lifts and we cross midline, outside edge of the right foot, outside the left hand. Come down onto that right hip. Walk towards the opposite side of your mat, either finding just yourself crawling towards the opposite side, which can be a nice twist, or increasing it by coming onto the elbow, pressing the palm into the floor and twisting. Walking the hands back in, shoulders distance, curl the back toes, down dog split, and then our feet come down. We'll lift up the left leg behind us again. And this time we're going to find a pigeon pose. So we'll bend that left knee and bring the leg forward and set ourselves down. So here, I really encourage us, the royal us, I guess, not the royal we, the royal us. Is that a thing? I encourage you, because I know that it's pretty nice for me, to place a prop under that left hip so that As you settle into the pose, you can have a little bit of support. Shouldn't take some strain out. Could be a really big prop if your hips are tight. I find that once I'm here for a moment, we're gonna come down into our pigeon, resting. You might come down on elbows. You might just be trying to reach the heart forward slightly. You might be all the way down on the forehead. I find, as I rest here, that I settle in enough that I can come off of my prop. So you might come off your prop eventually. You might just lower to a lesser height with that prop. Take a few minutes to breathe into your pigeon. One thing to notice is if you're letting your back foot sickle out to the side. It's hard to see with the video, but trying to point it straight out from your ankle and press down into the top of those toes so that you're engaged even as you rest in this front hip. Good. You can stay longer if you'd like. Just pause the video or walk your hands in, curl the back toes under, step back to down dog. Bend the knees a lot, shoot the hips back, press into the palms, shake it out. And then find a second side, bending the right knee, bringing the right leg forward, finding pigeon, setting yourself up on a prop, if that is appropriate, and coming down to your pose. With pigeon, it's important to keep your front foot flexed so it's engaged and active to protect your knee. If you feel twingy at all in your knee, you can instead flip your pigeon over by coming to your back, finding a figure 4 with the legs, and supporting yourself here. Notice your back foot. Could you have it straight out from the ankle? Does it feel better or just different to press the top of those toes, the top of that foot down into the mat and be engaged with the left leg as you relax into the right hip? Good. Coming in with the hands. This time just coming to a seat instead of lifting up into down dog. Bringing the feet in front of you, soles of the feet to the floor, grabbing the backs of the thighs and rounding the spine. You can give a little wiggle if you like. Coming back up, releasing the hands. You could extend the legs if you prefer. Roll yourself down to the mat, tucking the chin, slowly lowering. Good. Your knees will lift up over the hips, and the hands come to the knees, pointing towards the toes. As you exhale, pull the knees in gently, letting the sacrum lift up slightly, and then as you inhale, extending the arms. And then try to decrease that motion so that your sacrum stays heavy. You can do it gradually. Good. And then pulling both legs in, letting the sacrum roll up, giving yourself a big squeeze here. You might roll side to side a little bit. letting the sacrum come back down, feeling heavy pressed against the mat. Taking a couple of big stirs with the knees. And going the other direction. What I'd like for you to do, if possible in your setting, for our Shavasana today, is to find a chair or a sofa or whatever you've got. Take a blanket and place it pretty close, not right up against that prop or that seat, but pretty close. We're going to sit on the edge of the blanket, and then we're going to bring the hip or the legs up and over the sofa or chair, and let the tail hang off slightly from the blanket. And then I'm just going to come down to the floor. Arms can go wherever is comfortable, so it might be out to the sides. It might be one hand to the heart, one to the belly. I've seen people reach the arms overhead. I find that ridiculously uncomfortable to lie in Shavasana this way, but you may have a different opinion. Take your time to get yourself settled. Get any wiggles out that you'd like. Relax the shoulders against the floor. Collarbone is easy. The jaw is easy. There's space between the teeth. A soft, quiet breath through the nose. The eyes relax and still. The forehead is smooth. Feeling heavy against the props on the floor. You are welcome to stay here as long as you like. If you need to move on for today, become aware of your surroundings. Find small movements at first, maybe fingers and toes, or an increase in the breath. Taking your time, feel like your legs fall off to one side or the other. When you're ready to sit up, using your arms to help lift you and finding a comfortable seat. Eyes closed for just a moment. Palms come together, hands at heart center, taking a breath here. Hovering the hands in front of the mouth, taking a breath here. And and pressing the thumbs to the third eye, taking a breath here. Thank you so much for practicing. I hope you stay well. Namaste. That's it for now. See you guys all soon.